Now, if you feel like the economy is doing this to you, there's a reason why. And in the last couple of weeks, it's been just this weird mayhem throughout the world because of Trump's tariffs. Now, I'll tell you, I'm no friend of Trump's tariffs. I don't like this idea at all. I'm a free marketeer. I'm a conservative who thinks tariffs are a terrible idea. Okay, so with that, what has happened? Well, on April 2nd, Trump went to the Rose Garden. He had an address. He declared that April 2nd was Liberation Day, and he described the announcement as one of the most important days in American history, our Declaration of Economic Independence. And basically, we're not going to get ripped off anymore by the rest of the world, and so on and so forth. Okay, so I'm going to show you these 24 memes. The internet has spoken. This is not one of them. This is Trump actually going out to the Rose Garden, making this announcement, showing the sign of reciprocal tariffs. People quickly did the math and went, wait a minute, that's not a reciprocal tariff. A reciprocal tariff would mean that if you have imposed 15% on me, I'm going to impose 15% on you and that sort of thing. That's not what is happening here. So what he did was he looked at some formula of a trade imbalance and said, okay, well, we export $10 billion of stuff to you, and you export $100 billion of us to us. And so there's a $90 billion trade imbalance. And so our tariffs are going to be related to that trade imbalance. Okay, that's not the same thing, but that's what he went and did. Okay, and so you see memes that start coming out, and some memes are just explanatory, like this containers that are crashing into each other, and then there are some that are a lot funnier. Spin the wheel, set the tariffs for the day, because Trump seems to be changing the numbers on the tariffs almost every day, and I'll show you how that worked in just a moment. Okay. Here, we're going to set the table by hearing what is being said here in this interview.
Putting 54% tariffs on China shifts the whole global economy very, very quickly. And it's not good. Even if we can't quantify exactly how bad it is definitely very, very bad. Second thing, markets. Over the last 10 years, the US markets, US stock market, has absolutely dominated the world. 70% now of all international investment goes into the US markets. If you're somebody listening who has an index fund, right, AJ Bell or Vanguard, 70% of your investments, if you've got a global portfolio, will be in the United States.
And that's because the U.S. market was pretty safe. I mean, all other things being equal, you're not going to lose your shirt there. It's going to continue to grow. It's generally considered a safe investment.
So he has just taken a sledgehammer to market confidence in the United States, and U.S. stocks will start falling.
So I use the term market confidence. The idea here is you don't want to inject uncertainty into the market unnecessarily. And that's what Trump did starting with April 2nd. And it's been uncertain ever since.
Will have enormous global ramifications because it's 70% of the global markets. It's been the safest thing for a decade. It isn't any longer.
Okay, so that's setting the table to then look at this. Let's look at something else just as a teaching point, and then we'll look at all the memes. Okay, United States has the highest tariff rate in the world. Well, it does now. Now, before Trump, this is where it was. And everybody was here at 5% or less, maybe 10% or less. Pretty much everybody, except for like a little bit in Africa, was at 15% or less, definitely, right? And now we're out here in crazy land with 30 some odd percent averaged. Like it's a little nuts. But it was suspended. But before it was suspended, it went up, and it was going up here and up there, and we didn't know exactly where it was. Okay. Tax on, tax off. Here's a meme. Okay, a tariff is a tax. Don't let anybody tell you it's not. What happens is it's an indirect tax. So a tariff means, like if we say you have a 10%, or let's say you have a 50% tax on some goods. Let's just make it very simple. Well, now that $10 thing that you have is going to cost you $15. It's going to cost you time and a half. And rough numbers, right? And who's paying for that extra amount? Well, because a tariff is being laid on the stuff coming into the country, some money's going to the government, but who's paying? Ultimately, the consumer will pay because it'll be more expensive at the store. So it's an indirect tax. Don't let anyone say that it's not. Here's again, this is a homage to the Karate Kid. Okay, this was an interesting thing. This sign, it was, this is made in the USA sign. Someone found in a store, and on the back it says it's made in China. Okay, well that's fine because it's $8 because it's made in China. But if it was made in the USA, it would probably be more just because, our labor cost more, and we don't like spend time doing this kind of thing. We do other things, and that's how free trade's supposed to work. Here's meme number 3, made in America, make America great again. Hat made in China, $50. But after the first tariff, 77. After the second, 102. After the third, 112. And it keeps going up, right? So yeah, that's a pretty good explanation of what's going to happen. Then there were a bunch of AI created memes. Like, we think that, okay, the idea of these tariffs is that we're going to reshore these jobs. That is, these great factory jobs that have left the country are going to come back. And so here on TikTok, you see a number of, memes of guys sitting in a garment factory or working on iPhones or whatever. Do you really want to do this job if you don't have to? Like, wouldn't you rather have other options? But yeah, so this is the kind of thing that they're saying, yeah, you think that's going to be great, you're going to have these great jobs again. It protects certain manufacturers, but it's going to cost the customer. And then you have variations of this where these jobs are people with MAGA hats on, because these are the people that are just supporting this thoroughly. Okay. And other versions of this, they're in a chip making a I don't know why they make them, they're all fat people, but okay. They're, working with chips or other things. And then there are variations of this where it's actually Trump and Elon Musk and JD Vance that are making it. Right here in this meme, they're making Nikes. Nikes are mostly made in Vietnam. I mean, because it's just cheaper labor costs to make them in Vietnam and then export them from there to the United States. But Vietnam was supposed to have a 43% tariff. So if your Nikes weren't expensive enough before, they're going to be expensive now. JD Vance working on an iPhone, or this, it's not really a great meme because the heads are a little out of shape, but Elon Musk and Trump and whatever, working on an assembly line. Yeah. Okay. Marjorie Taylor Greene working on, in a factory kind of condition. Okay. Then out on a farm, USA after Trump too, and they all have MAGA hats that say "We messed up" or "No future" or that sort of thing. Now, there is an interesting twist to this. The reciprocal tariffs, when they're laid out, the herd and McDonald Islands were charged a tariff of 10%. Now, nobody really has heard of the herd and McDonald Islands. It's actually out between Africa and Australia, and it's like a protectorate of Australia. Nobody lives there. Penguins live there. That's it. But they have a tariff rate of 10%, which came to all kinds of memes such as this. The penguins hit back. They impose a 75% tariff on fish caught in the ocean. Or this, which was actually a video of these penguins singing about the tariffs. And I'm not going to put the song on, but where frost bites deep and men can't be, our empire stands beyond the endless, or beside the endless sea, and they're standing there with machine guns, and yeah, penguins with the machine guns to protect their island, right? Okay. Now, I talked about my zigzag theory with Ukraine. Like, Trump can zig or he can zag, and he's known for having done that. He hasn't really zagged a lot with Ukraine. He zigged almost exclusively toward Russia. But apply that here toward tariffs, and you see what has actually happened. Now, the thing came out on April 2nd. That's about here. And the market went up slightly for just a moment, and then it dropped. April 3rd, he escalated it. April 4th, global rout in the stock markets continued after China retaliated against Trump, and then the markets are down. This is the S&P 500, by the way, that I'm showing you here. So immediately after the tariffs, it just dropped like a rock. And then you saw things like this. All reports of a 90-day tariff pause are fake, White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt said, because for a little bit it looked like something was going to happen, and but that was fake. And then it wasn't fake. And then it actually, what happened here was that it shot way up, and it shot way up because Trump paused the tariffs, and that leads to the zigzagging of what he's going to do. And okay, and when he bought, or when he paused it. Billionaire score, best day ever in stocks soar on tariff pause. And there are people saying, hey, look, he's rigging the market for his friends. Well, it doesn't take a genius to realize when you look at this graph that if for no other reason other than Trump by fiat deciding that he's going to create tariffs, like nothing else went wrong with the brands, lots of smart people are going, you know what, maybe it's time to go buy some of these things or put call orders or whatever or they bought there. Okay, so billionaire scores best day ever, and then you see, and that was a headline, and Marjorie Taylor Greene scooped up tanking stocks, made a profit after the tariff pause. Yeah, so it's a bad look for congressmen and such to be doing that, but okay. This was one of my favorites. It's Crazy Donnie's Greatest. Okay, so here, it's a homage to Crazy Eddie. I'll show you what I mean by in just a moment. It was, okay, let's just watch this.
It's Crazy Donnie's greatest deficit-crushing, China-busting, logic-defying tariff extravaganza. 10% on aluminum, 25% on flat-screen TV, steel and TV cameras, even dishwashers, 27.4%.
Yeah. Okay, so he's just going on with all the tariffs. And again, it's an homage to Crazy Eddie. That's a commercial from the 1980s. If you were in the New York media market, I grew up about 20 miles outside of New York City, you would have seen this kind of ad all the time.
Eddie's greatest stereo sale ever. Get anything and everything in stereo equipment. Get it all now during Crazy Eddie's greatest stereo sale ever. Crazy Eddie, his prices are insane.
Okay, so he always ended with Crazy Eddie, his prices are insane. Actually, Crazy Eddie went to jail because of manipulating his business books. So probably not the greatest role model. Okay, so the back and forth. I'm adding tariffs, and guy with the MAGA hat saying this will create jobs. It's not going to create jobs. I mean, I've been teaching this for 20 years that it won't, that's not going to help you create jobs. I'm removing tariffs. Art of the deal. I'm adding tariffs. This will create jobs. I'm removing tariffs. Art of the deal. Or you can see this in another way. I make a stupid decision. Something really bad happens. I convince my followers that the problem is magically solved, and I reverse my stupid decision. So you can do it a couple of different ways. And I'm not just picking on Trump just to pick on Trump, but like this tariff thing was a bad idea, and then he reversed it. And you saw what happened as soon as he reversed it. The market jumped back up. And so, okay. Let's go and look at this. U.S. is no longer a threat, it says Vladimir Putin. And here he's reading the news about Trump guts U.S. government. And this is talking about Doge. But you can just as equally talk about tariffs with this. I'll just sit and wait for it to implode. Okay, so it's a gift to Vladimir Putin, which is unfortunate, but that's kind of what's going on. All this instability around the world, the EU hitting tariffs back and China hitting back with tariffs and all that sort of thing. It's just a gift to Vladimir Putin. But if you think that I'm making this up, that you could just apply this exactly to what's going on with tariffs, look at this. This isn't my work. This is Russian. Okay, here's the U.S. and here's the EU and here's China, and they're on the field of, I guess, battle or whatever, and Russia's just sitting off in the background. This is from the Russian embassy in Kenya. And the topic was tariff wars. So I'm not making this up. That's how Russia sees it. And it's right. That's the way they should be seeing it, because that's what's happening. A couple last things. This is a good metaphor for what it feels like in the economy right now. It's just difficult to figure out what's going on where, right? And then two more and we'll be done. This is Reagan Caucus posted this. Someone just sent this. Trump steering the economy. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of which way are we going? I'm not sure which way. Yeah. And then finally, I'll leave you with this meme. This is the 24th. I told you 24 memes. 7,000%, 8,000%, as an old Trump and an old Xi are still arguing about this trade war. This was an unforced error. It didn't need to happen. It shouldn't have happened, and it's the wrong direction for the country. But it's not just the wrong direction for the country. It's affecting the rest of the world, and it didn't need to happen. All right, tell me what you thought about these memes. I hope some of them made you smile or chuckle, but it's not really a funny situation. But here's some stress relief. The internet has spoken. Thank you for the time. Thank you for the likes, the shares, the subscribes, and thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.